damage, sir. Sir, our camouflage nets are no longer in position. A new enemy supply line has been reported, sir. Sir, our unit has been wiped out. Receiving control.
Everybody likes big explosions, right? What up, ladies? Leon Trasky here, bringing you something a little bit different today. And this is a real Battlefield game, in a weird sense of the way. This is Ruse. It's an RTS game for PC, console, all that good stuff. And it is awesome, and it's one of the best RTS games I've ever played on the console. Real-time strategy games are a lot of fun, and this game works very well for console. Today, the game that you're going to see me playing here is just a 10-minute game. I'm playing as the USSR, Russia, versus the Americans, I believe, and I actually use a great strategy for basically destroying the other team with a hidden infantry strike against two tanks. So it's very important to see the initial build up here, and if you don't know anything about this game Ruse, it's really all about using these things called ruses, in which you can place on different sections of the map, you can place these different ruse cards, in a sense, in which they give you special abilities. One being, Blitz, which is faster. One being Camouflage Nets, which camouflages all the buildings in the area. Another one being Radio Silence, which makes all your units in the building go silent and invisible to the enemy unless they're actually seen. So it's very important to pay attention to what is actually going on the map and the different signals that the map's giving you to know kind of what's going on. If a building's blinking, it usually means it's under camouflage. If a building's, if people are blinking and they're not a solid color, it usually means that the enemy can't see them. So here I'm playing a medium opponent, and I've started playing recently harder opponents, and the harder opponents actually start using more ruses against you. Ruses like Camouflage Net and Radio Silence, which I use a lot, you'll see in this game. So here, this setting is World War II, and I'm playing as the Russians, and so it's really, you see where they build, they build two light heavy units, and they're started pushing through the center towards me. And this is, a big turning point in this game here that allows me to win. As I thought originally, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna advance and get an advanced medium tank, because I assume that once they build these tanks, these are probably tanks coming at me in the very beginning. I can't see them and know exactly what kind of units they are until I get a line of sight on them, or I have a recon plane or a recon army man somewhere around them that can actually see them. So I decided to just make two heavy tanks instead. They're only $40 a piece, and it scares the hell out of these light tanks coming at me. You see them just stop, slam on their brakes, and start pushing back. So these heavy tanks that the USSR has for $40, they're a little expensive to start off with, but they can hold up a great defensive line to help you get your initial defensive setup in this game. The basic bases that you have set up, you have your barracks, that turns out your normal infantry, army guys. You have your armory, your heavy vehicles, your armored vehicles. You got anti-air and artillery base. You have a anti-tank base. You have an airfield you can build. You have a prototype base, and probably some other base that I'm not remembering at the current time. But all these bases have different upgrades based on which different nation you are. Different stuff costs different amounts. Different units are more stronger and less vulnerable to certain things than other units, and you really got to learn how to balance your stuff and build a good attacking force. Here in a 10-minute game, it's a little bit different, so you're not going to get the same amount of time to build up an economy by building administrative buildings, and it's really get a few supply depots down, build a few things, and I start pushing forward. I'm like these two heavy tanks, they started pulling back, I might as well start pushing my heavy tanks forward. I already got my barracks built up on the left hand side that they can't see, so I started to already upgrade my infantry to the heavy infantry. They cannot see my barracks. They have no idea, unless they fly a plane over there, they have no idea that the barracks are there. So I feel like, I'm going to stay, build a couple heavy tanks, push through the center. I'm going to build up an infantry force on their my left-hand side, on their flank, build up the infantry force, scoot in around the back of their base behind their tanks, and take them down. It works great. There's a lot of interesting little strategies, quick strategies that you can use like this, especially against a computer. They kind of might be frowned upon against some of the, if you're playing a friend or something like that online. but it can still be a lot of fun, and playing people online is a lot of fun, actually. This is one game where, you know, I've played a lot of RTS games before, especially on the computer back in the day, you know, some Age of Empires and stuff, and I was always, you know, let's just play against the computer. I don't like playing online. There's too much stuff going on. But this is one of those games that you can play online versus other people, and you can still do well even if you're not super familiar with the game, but it still works out well. So you see here my heavy tanks just demolishing those light tanks when they get close, and I take down a couple of their light tanks, and I'm like, you know what, I might as well start moving in. So before I start building up my infantry force, though, it's also important to notice the lines that the ruse cards will take up. So here I called in a, you know, it's a radio silence app, or ruse, so it's going to make all the guys that I create in that area invisible to the enemy. The enemy will have no idea that those people are there unless they get line of sight, either through a recon plane or a recon person or some sort of tank that comes within a certain distance from them. So as long as I keep my eyes open and, you know, keep it clear and keep their pressure, because all they see right now is they see the stuff that's completely highlighted. They see I have my headquarters, they see I have my heavy artillery base, and they see I have my armor base, and they see just tanks just coming down the center of their throat. So they don't see any of these infantry guys that I can create for $5, heavy infantry guys, and just mass produce these guys, create a little infantry force, and then cut in around the backside, and it works perfectly, especially because I got those heavy tanks out very quickly, that they were unable to destroy these heavy tanks and unable to really prevent a defense to, you know, hold down these tanks, because the heavy tanks are very difficult to stop someone with heavy tanks in the very beginning of a game, because it's really only usually producing light and medium tanks. Especially the Americans, I believe, actually have to research a heavy tank and even an advanced medium tank to be able to come up against that. They build medium tanks, I believe, for $20 a piece, but there's medium tanks will get destroyed by my heavy tanks. So right here you see I noticed that their armory, they were starting to build somebody, so I'm just going to use my tanks and destroy their forward base. The computer on medium usually tends to put like a barracks and an armory base a little bit forward and then build off of those guys and push them forward. You see me here calling another radio silence ruse on their base, in which I'm going to take the line of my infantry guys and cut them through the ruse area that I have on radio silence and continue them into the ruse area that they're in radio silence, and then just push all the way into their base and meet up with my tanks in their base. This is a great little ruse. I mean, this is what this game is really all about, is deceiving the enemy and letting them think they know what's going on, and then surprise them with something else. You know, let them see some tanks that are coming directly at them, and let them prepare to defend against those tanks, and then, you know, bomb them with freaking airplanes, or, you know, just surround them with infantry or something like that. So, like I said earlier, another one of the good early rushing tank techniques, it really depends on what nation you are. Like, you can see my guys, first of all, I want to point out, my guys are still good doing that little flashing highlighting. That means they are not being seen. Those guys are completely invisible still, and I'm, you know, in the same sector as their headquarters right now. So this is pretty much an easy win from here. You know, it's 2 minutes left, but I'm going to kind of walk through it. I'm just going to walk in, capture the points, move my tanks in at the same point, and just take them down. It's pretty simple stuff. Early, easy attacks that work very well. Online, you know, they're frowned upon sometimes, but if you can build an airfield very quickly with maybe like the UK has great and cheap airfields, and then you don't have to research too much stuff. But you can build paratroopers and go in and capture enemy supply lines and stuff like that. A quick tank rush, sometimes with light tanks, will take the enemy off guard. But it's really, in the beginning of the game, it's very important to focus on your build, not research too many things that you really don't need, and knowing kind of what direction you want to take the battle. Obviously, you know, you need to create a well-rounded defense, anti-air guns, anti-tank guns, stuff like that. But this game is just really important about keeping your enemy off guard and not knowing exactly what's going on, keeping your buildings disguised, keeping your, you know, where your infantry are coming from, where the majority of your forces are coming from, kind of hidden. And, you know, it gets a lot more intense when everybody starts building airplanes and you got to shoot people down and this and that. But this game is a ton of fun and it's a blast. I would recommend anybody for picking it up. You can buy it online on the Xbox Live Marketplace. I believe they're charging like something ridiculous, like $40 or something for it right now. I did pay full price for it used when it first came out, so I don't feel too bad. But I've heard rumors that you can go on, you know, if you can find a used copy at GameStop, you can get it pretty cheap for I've heard like 10, 20 bucks nowadays. So definitely check this game out if you're a real-time strategy fan and you play on the console. I would definitely recommend it. Here I'm just kind of speeding up this last portion because it's really just me going in and trying to clear up their last infantry guy here. He's just running away from me and I finally get him. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more Ruse commentary or strategy, let me know. If you guys get this game and want to play with me, let me know because it's got a great multiplayer aspect. It's a lot of fun to play. There's co-op games. Campaign's a little slow for somebody like myself that just plays a lot of the battles. But let me know what you think, ladies. Till next time, we're keeping it real. Leon Trotsky. Hopefully Battlefield 3 Beta coming up. Some NHL 12. Some FIFA. Some more Ruse if you want to see it. Till next time, ladies. Keep it real, and we will talk soon. I promise.